Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachare. Yamuna Tira Vanachare. Yamuna Tira Vanachare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtotar Shata Srimad Pai Charna Ravina Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashtotar Shata Tridandi Goswami Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindava Mathura Dhama Ki Jai. Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Nrsimhadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Nidai Gaura Premanande Hare Bol Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembly devotees. All glories to the assembly devotees. All glories to the assembly devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Umritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So Hare Krishna, good morning, welcome everybody. So many guests are here today, and I guess you are all speaking English. Yes. And so I think it would be appropriate to speak in English today, huh? So we speak in English. Someone needs a translation into German from English. And then Alakananda Mataji can translate. Okay. Then we start by hearing from this super amazing book, Transcendental Diary of His Grace Hari Shauri Prabhu. And we will hear about Srila Prabhupada's times. Whimsically, I opened Honolulu, sounds already good, in May 13th, 1976. Today was the appearance day of Lord Narasimhadev. Arbo. And everyone fasted until sunset. Due to weakness from his illness, Prabhupada took a small Ekadashi breakfast and then his main meal at sunset. In answer to my question whether Lord Narasimha actually appeared on this particular planet, he replied that he did not think so, and said that the tirthas in Simhachalam, South India, were not authorized. Speaking from Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.12, in his class, Srila Prabhupada continued to stress the need for culture. His lecture was short but direct and very much to the point. He made it clear that he meant by culture, the Vedic civilization means everything under rules and regulation. That is Vedic civilization. Animal cannot be brought under rules and regulations. That is not possible. That is the speciality of human society, that the more one society follows rules and regulations, he is to be considered civilized. He gave the English translation of the verse, which unequivocally describes the need for regulated life. My dear king, if a deceased person eats a pure, uncontaminated food prescribed by a physician, he is gradually cured, and the infection of disease can no longer touch him. Similarly, if one follows the regulative principles of knowledge, he gradually progresses toward liberation from material contamination. Prabhupada repeatedly stressed this point. Unless we follow the rules and regulations, then there is no possibility of curing our material disease. Thus, he also indicated the need for the establishment of a society like his ISKCON. The law is meant for a human being. If the human being does not follow rules and regulative principles, law, then he is an animal. So civilized means to rise oneself from the animal status of life to the human status of life. That means rules and regulations. That is compulsory. That is human. Real civilization is how to go back home, back to Godhead. But materialistic persons do not know this. Therefore, there must be organization, institution, to teach the human society how to go back to home, back to Godhead. Shri Prabhupada ki. So wonderful. And it just reminded me what I read recently about rules and regulations and animal life. Prabhupada even describes that with sleeping and eating, you can even, how to say in English, you can train even tigers or wild animals like this. Like you give them food and you give them possibility to sleep, and then they will do what you tell them. So to say, you train them. But then he says also simultaneously, but snakes you cannot even train like this. Snakes are so degraded they do not even follow then. So similar, there's a need for rules and regulations in order to rise to the civilized status of life, and therefore this institution was founded by Srila Prabhupada. It's amazing how Srila Prabhupada thinks and how it is revealed here. And the other point, of course, interesting, Narasimhadev, isn't it? Because in India there are places where it is described, sometimes you hear devotees say that there are, even nowadays, there is this lake where it's said that Narasimhadev washed his hands after killing Hiranyakashipu, and stories like this sometimes we hear. But it's interesting how Srila Prabhupada here talks, as I guess, about such places in South India. He says, South India, Simhachalam, he says they are not authorized. And he does not think that Narasimhadev appeared on this planet. Also interesting and good to know. Okay, unless you have any comments or any question regarding this, let us continue with Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Today we continue with chapter 22, verse number 33. And Krishna is very amazing and wonderful. I was actually supposed to give the lecture 2 days ago, but because of other duties, I could not do so. So somehow or other, I'm sitting now here. And I use this opportunity to also read and talk about verse number 32. And we chant verse number 33 as on the blackboard. And then we hear both verses. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Artendriyartha Pityanam Sarvartha Panavonrinam Prangshito Jnana Vijnanat Yena Vishati Mukhyatam Artendriyartha Pityanam Sarvartha Panavonrinam Prangshito Jnana Vijnanat Yena Vishati Mukhyatam Artendriyartha Pityanam Sarvartha Panavonrinam Prangshito Jnana Vijnanat Yena Vishati Mukhyatam. Please. Artendriyartha Pityanam Ladies, Artendriyartha Pityanam Sarvartha Panavonrinam Prangshito Jnana Vijnanat Yena Vishati Mukhyatam Artendriyartha Pityanam Sarvartha Panavonrinam Prangshito Jnana Vijnanat Yena Vishati Mukhyatam. Word to word translation. Artha, riches. Indriya Artha, for the satisfaction of the senses. Apityanam, constantly thinking of. Sarva Artha, 4 kinds of achievements. Apanavaha, destructive. Nrinam, of human society. Prangshitaha, being devoid of. Jnana, knowledge. Vijnanat, devotional service. Yena, by all this. Avishati, enters. Mukhyatam, immovable life. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. For human society, constantly thinking of how to earn money and apply it for sense gratification brings about the destruction of everyone's interests. When one becomes devoid of knowledge and devotional service, he enters into species of life like those of trees and stones. Purport. Jnana, or knowledge, means to understand one's constitutional position, and vijnana refers to practical application of that knowledge in life. In the human form of life, one should come to the position of jnana and vijnana. But despite this great opportunity, if one does not develop knowledge and practical application of knowledge through the help of a spiritual master and the Shastras, in other words, if one misuses this opportunity, then in the next life he is sure to be born in a species of non-moving living entities. Non-moving living entities include hills, mountains, trees, plants, etc. This stage of life is called punyatam or mukhyatam, namely making all activities zero. Philosophers who support stopping all activities are called shunyavadi. By nature's own way, our activities are to be gradually diverted to devotional service. But there are philosophers who, instead of purifying their activities, try to make everything zero or void of all activities. This lack of activity is represented by the trees and the hills. This is a kind of punishment inflicted by the laws of nature. If we do not properly execute our mission of life in self-realization, nature's punishment will render us inactive by putting us into the form of trees and hills. Therefore, activities directed towards sense gratification are condemned herein. One who is constantly thinking of activities to earn money and gratify the senses is following a path which is suicidal. Factually, all human society is following this path. Some way or other, people are determined to earn money, to get money by begging, borrowing, or stealing, and applying that for sense gratification. Such a civilization is the greatest obstacle in the path of self-realization. Artendriyartha pityanam sarvartha panavonrinam prangshito jnana vikyanat yenavishati mukhyatam. Please repeat. For human society, constantly thinking of how to earn money and apply it for sense gratification brings about the destruction of everyone's interests. When one becomes devoid of knowledge and devotional service, he enters into the species of life like those of trees and stones. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svabadandikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I will read the purport, the verse and the purport of the previous verse, which is quite short. There is no stronger obstruction to one's self-interest than thinking other subject matters to be more pleasing than one's self-realization. Human life is especially meant for self-realization. Self refers to the super-self and the individual self, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the living entity. When, however, one becomes more interested in the body and bodily sense gratification, he creates for himself obstruction on the path of self-realization. By the influence of Maya, one becomes more interested in sense gratification, which is prohibited in this world for those interested in self-realization. Instead of becoming interested in sense gratification, one should divert his activities to satisfy the senses of the Supreme Soul. Anything performed contrary to this principle is certainly against one's self-interest. So these two verses, they have something in common. They explain to us that for a person who is trying to achieve self-realization, in other words, real happiness on the platform of the self, for such a person it's necessary to become detached and avoid bodily sense gratification. In other words, it's kind of a contradiction. On one hand, to desire for spiritual happiness, and on one hand, to desire to realize the soul or to find out what is the soul, and at the same time gratifying senses, material enjoyment. It's a contradiction because it is compared with a person, a person trying to invoke a fire. Like yesterday we had our weekly Saturdays fire yakya. So if the priest wants to light this fire and at the same time he pours water on it, it's not possible to light the fire. So striving for and working for and longing for sense gratification is compared with pouring water on a fire which you want to invoke. So therefore, one has to become detached. And astonishingly enough, the Vedas describe us that actually water, which is able to distinguish fire, is produced by fire itself. So fire produces water, and water can distinguish the fire. So similarly, Lord Shiva is described to us. Lord Brahma is described in such a way to us that actually Lord Brahma is standing for the mode of passion, Rajaguna, and that also includes lust, anger. And in the Vedas there is one description delivered to us when a great Muni, a Brahmana, wanted to provoke Lord Brahma. Bhrigu Muni, the brother actually, not the son of Brahma, he wanted to see whether Lord Brahma becomes easily angry. So he went to Lord Brahma, and Brahma was very happy to see him. And usually when a younger comes to an elder person, it is the etiquette that the younger person offers obeisances and respect. But Bhrigu wanted to test Brahma, and he did not say anything, he did not show any respect, he did not offer obeisances. And Brahma actually became quite agitated. He felt it's kind of an offense. And he became quite angry with Bhrigu. And he became so angry with Bhrigu that he even wanted to curse him. But at that moment, he controlled his anger because Bhrigu Muni was his son. So Brahma actually is quite influenced by the mode of passion, and he's controlling the mode of passion in the universe, it says. And this is one product of the mode of passion, this anger. But although he produces, the mode of passion is produced by him, or he's overseeing the mode of passion, he could with intelligence control it also. Similarly, as water is produced by fire, and the water can also distinguish the fire. So Brahma produced the mode of passion, anger comes from it, but at the same time he can control it. This is the example given. So then in that case, Bhrigu Muni, he saw, okay, Brahma, he became already quite agitated. He didn't explode out of anger, and he didn't curse him, he could control himself, but still he became angry. So then he went to the next person he wanted to test. What do you think, who is the next person Bhrigu Muni wanted to check? Huh? Vishnu comes as last. Shiva, yes. His brother. First he went Brahma, his father, then he went to his brother, Shiva. And Shiva saw his brother, Bhrigu Muni. He said, oh, my brother, Bhrigu, it's wonderful to see you. And he wanted to embrace him. And Bhrigu Muni was like, no. He was hesitating. He didn't want Lord Shiva to embrace him. And then he spoke to Shiva. He said, oh, Lord Shiva, you are constantly looking so dirty. You are smearing your body with ashes from crematories. Please don't touch me. So he spoke like this. And Shiva, he became so agitated. He became so angry that he wanted to do something. He wanted to react. And then immediately Shiva's wife, who is Shiva's wife? Parvati. She came and she offered obeisances and she begged Shiva to not curse him and not to harm him. In other words, she made Shiva act in goodness. That was her influence. So then also that punishment was avoided. But still Shiva became quite agitated and quite angry. Okay, and then Bhrigu Muni wanted to check the last person we already heard, Vishnu. So it's a very, very easy to remember. A sannyasi is dedicating what kind of three elements, so to say, only to Krishna. Who of you can tell me? A sannyasi only speaks of Krishna. He uses his words, yes? BMW. Thank you, very good. Very easy to remember, BMW, body, mind, and words. A sannyasi speaks only of Krishna. A sannyasi uses his body only in connection with Krishna and body, mind, and words, and his mind. He always thinks of Krishna. So similarly here, Bhrigu Muni, he wanted to test these great personalities with his body, mind, and words. First, he agitated Brahma with his mind. He did not respect him in his mind. Then he offended Lord Shiva verbally. He spoke harshly to him. He said he's like dirty. And now the climax, the top of everything, he went to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva personally, and he offended him grossly with his body. How did he offend Vishnu? Someone of you is from South India? No one is here from South India? No. Which part of India you are from? You're from just from the opposite. Okay, the Himalayas. How did Bhrigu Muni offend Vishnu? He kicked him with his foot on his chest. Hare Krishna. What could you imagine to do more offensive against Lord Vishnu? Huh? So what he really wanted to know it. Who is the best among these three? Who tolerates the most among these three? So, but Vishnu, he reacted very astonishingly. There was not a tiny spark of anger. There was not a trace of anger. He didn't even try to become angry. He apologized. And he said, oh, Bhrigu Muni, I'm sure my chest is so hard. You must have hurt your foot. Please let me massage your lotus feet. Please forgive me my offense for my hard chest. Like this, and Bhrigu Muni, he was really astonished. Just imagine you see a person reacting so humbly, in such a position. So Vishnu, he was kind of very, very easygoing with it, no problem. But still, there was one personality, a pretty important personality, who actually became quite offended by it. You know who became offended by it? Lakshmi. She is residing on the breast of Lord Vishnu. Bhrigu Muni kicked him, and she didn't like this at all. She did not take it easy. She tolerated it. She did not tolerate it. She even left Vishnu. So we see the divine couple, the perfect couple. In the material world, everyone is looking for the perfect situation, Romeo and Julia. And we see Lakshmi Narayan, Sitaram, Radha Krishna. They are the divine couple. They are perfect, but still in such perfect couples, for the purpose of creating pastimes and leelas, sometimes the wife, Lakshmi, she seems to be, how to say, angry with her husband. So in that case, she became kind of offended and angry, and she left Vishnu. And she went to the material world. She went to the earth. And Vishnu became so kind of confused, and he was longing so much for his consort, Lakshmi. He also appeared on the earth, and he appeared as Srinivas. And as Srinivas, he performed penances and penances and penances in order to hopefully someday gain back his beloved Lakshmi Devi. And after so much time of penance, at a certain point he met Lakshmi Devi, Padmavati, and they fell in love with each other, and they wanted to marry. But there was one problem. There was no money, because Srinivas was just performing penances and austerities. So therefore he had to take a loan. Where did he took the loan from? Kuvera. You know everything. And Kuvera gave them a loan. You know how much he gave? I also don't know, but it's a lot. You know? A lot. It must have been a lot. Kuvera is the treasurer of the demigods. So it was a huge loan. It was a huge marriage, a huge wedding, unimaginable. And they married, and happily they came together, and Lakshmi is residing since then again with the Lord together. And nowadays we have a beautiful temple in South India which stands for this pastime, and this is the temple of Tirupati Balaji Venkateshwara. So this is the story behind it. And in this story, this story reveals to us also the answer to the very good question, which was the question which was asked to Krishna himself, even by Yudhishthira, and the question was that Vishnu he's the richest person. He Aishvarya. He possesses richness in completeness. No one is so rich as Vishnu. But still, we see that the devotees of Vishnu usually they are quite materially pure. Like we have what's his name? The Brahmana, the poor Brahmana who went to Dwaraka to Krishna with a little Sudam, the Brahmana is the best example. As a great devotee, he's a Brahmana, but was really in pure condition of life. But on the other hand, it's said that we see Shiva's disciples and Shiva's followers, they are quite rich, they are quite opulent. But Shiva himself is not really, seemingly not very opulent, not very rich. He lives under a tree, he does not even a hut, he doesn't even have a roof. He's meditating, he does not have appropriate clothes, he is smearing his body with ashes, but still his followers and his disciples, they are all pretty rich. So the question was, how can we understand this? Shiva's followers, they are poor, and Vishnu's followers, they are poor, and Shiva's followers, they are rich. And the answer to this is given to us in this pastime. Why? Because since this happening, that Bhrigu Muni kicked the chest of Vishnu, Lakshmi Devi, she is a little bit not so happy with Brahmanas. Generally, and therefore Brahmanas, they are not so favored by Lakshmi Devi, and therefore they are usually quite poor. Not always, but this is the answer given. So, and this is the one point which we are coming to from this purport, money. No? Everyone who strives for money, who works hard his whole life in order to gain money, this is a contradiction again to the real self-interest. It's an animal life to just think all the time how to get money, how to earn money, and so on and so on. And on the other hand, in the previous verse, it was described to us that real self-interest or real self-realization means the realization of what two types of selves? Maybe someone of you can tell me what two types of selves are to be realized when we talk about self-realization. It's not a question. It's not a psychological question for schizophrenic persons. Don't be afraid. It's a very rational question. What two types of selves are we meant to realize? Who can tell me? Very good. Thank you very much. The self, of course, the soul, the Jiva, and the other bird sitting on this tree in the heart is the Paramatma, the super self, the self and the super self. They are to be achieved through the process of self-realization. And astonishingly enough, it is revealed to us in the scriptures, especially in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 11, that these two are automatically achieved if you realize or achieve realization of, especially the super self. In other words, if you become Krishna conscious, if you know Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically you have self-realization. And on the contrary, if you strive very hard for self-realization, what is the Atma? Neti. This is not. Penances, austerities, or maybe yoga, and so on. All this, that does not mean that when you achieve perfection through this process and you realize the soul, the Atma, that does not mean that you also are aware and then you realize Krishna or Bhagavan. So that shows us that Krishna consciousness is in all respects really the highest, and everything else automatically is included. And there is a wonderful verse in the Bhagavad Gita which describes us the absolute nature of Krishna in that sense, because this verse shows us that even if we don't understand the story around this verse, even if we take only this one verse, it's true and it reveals us spiritual knowledge, although we don't know the connections around it. This is also one proof that the Bhagavad Gita is on the absolute platform. And the verse I'm speaking of is verse number 51 in 11th chapter. But before I want to recite this verse, can I have one English Bhagavad Gita, please? Before I want to reveal to you this verse which I'm talking about, let us see what happened before this verse. The universal form, thank you very much. A universal form is actually quite an astonishing form. Just a few weeks ago, when we gave a lecture here, we described how Srila Prabhupada experienced the universal form. Any one of you maybe heard this lecture, was even here, or knows what I mean? How did Srila Prabhupada in his life experience the universal form, the Virat Rupa? He says this was actually the universal form. On the Jaladuta? How do you mean on the Jaladuta? The Dashavataras, huh? Okay, so the Dashavataras. Very good, thank you. Yeah? Someone else has an advice? Or what kind of historically intense happenings did Prabhupada witness and experience partially? Yes?
Prabhupada was in Calcutta when there was a war and bombs were falling, and even there he saw Krishna, I think in person, like as death personified.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, thank you. It was not any war, it was actually the world war. Because Prabhupada astonishing enough, he witnessed and experienced both world wars. How old was Srila Prabhupada when World War #1 broke out? 18, thank you. Exactly. Prabhupada was born in 1896. First World War broke out in 1918, so he was 18 years old. And then, of course, in the Second World War also. And when he remembers these world wars, and when he speaks about it, exactly as you said, it is described how Srila Prabhupada was sitting on the roof of the building or whatever, and he heard his friends coming and shout, Abhay Charan, quickly come, the bombs are coming, we have to go to the shelter, the war shelter. And Prabhupada was sitting there and he told him, yeah, it's okay, you go there, I stay here. Why? Because his wife just cooked kachoris. No time for saving oneself from the bombs, the kachoris are there, So he offered the kachoris and he took the kachoris in the middle of the war when the bombs were falling down. This is Krishna Prasadam, we have to honor. Even if the war comes, it doesn't matter. So that was his attitude. And then later he remembered that actually this was also a form of Krishna, these bombs and all this, but it was not a very nice form of Krishna. And this is actually the Vishvarupa. It's a form of Krishna which you cannot love. You can only have loving relationship with Krishna, or we are meant to awaken our loving relationship with Krishna as Shyama Sundara, the two-armed flute-playing cowherd boy in a darkish complexion like a monsoon cloud, who's very sweet and all attractive. And to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, we are meant to awaken our love, but the Vishvarupa devotee cannot have loving exchange. But still he witnessed him, and as you said correctly, especially he thought of and he remembered Krishna, even in this situation in war. Yes, so a very terrible happening, a very terrible situation. And similarly, of course, we can imagine what Arjuna was in it. It was a horrible and fearsome situation when Krishna revealed to him the universal form. First of all, he was astonished. It's explained, first of all, he found it actually pretty wonderful and beautiful. There was a huge form, heavenly, decorated with jewels. There were garlands and silken garments. The body smelled that the scent of the body was very nice, very beautiful, heavenly. And all this situation was very wonderful, shining, effulgent, and limitless, and all-pervading. And he compares it with 100,000s of suns rising simultaneously. That effulgent and that beautiful was this universal form. But then in the next moment, suddenly the situation changes and he becomes actually confused. And he gets afraid because he saw many faces and eyes and arms and legs and teeth. And he saw so many planets and all the demigods, they were also confused together with Arjuna. Arjuna, he became fearful because of these many shining colors and the wide opened mouths and these huge shining eyes and the death-like faces which he saw everywhere. And he could not stand even more. He was so afraid actually of this. He saw all the sons of Dhritarashtra like Bhima, Dronacharya, and Karna falling into the mouths of this fearsome universal form. And Arjuna saw them, how they were entangled and how they were caught in the teeth of this universal form, and how they crushed them and how they killed them. He saw all human beings falling with very rapidly into the mouths of this form like insects, like mosquitoes. So then he became really afraid of this universal form. And this is actually the story before the main verse, which I meant, because seeing this, Arjuna starts praying to Krishna. He prays to him, please show me again yourself in your personal form, in your two-armed form, standing in front of me like on the chariot, talking to me like with a friend, very beautiful. Please show me again this form. And then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Arjuna is actually appreciating, and he's mentioning both sides. He says, I see you with all this opulence, beautiful, shining, colorful. And this what gave pleasure to Arjuna. And the meaning of it is that Krishna felt happy, kind of joyful to see this opulence of the universal form. The meaning of it is that Arjuna was actually appreciating that, wow, cool, my friend is actually God. Nice. You're a God. Congratulations. Pretty good. I'm happy for you. Happy for you that you're a God. Nice. In other words, he appreciated and he was completely free from envy. Krishna is God. Krishna is completely rich, and there was no trace of envy in Arjuna's heart. And therefore Arjuna is qualified to receive spiritual knowledge from Krishna, because what does Krishna say in the 9th chapter? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, itam tute guyatamam pravakshyami anasuyave kyanam vikyana sahitam yachgyatva moksha seshupat. Because you are my dear friend, and because you are never envious towards me, therefore I reveal to you this confidential knowledge, because you are qualified. So here we see it. He appreciated that actually his friend is God. Wow, pretty cool. Nice. Cool. I like it. And then Krishna, he answers and he says, okay, my dear Arjuna, I understood. You are pretty afraid now of this horrible form which I revealed. But now again, be peaceful. May you now see again my four-armed or my two-armed form. It said, first of all, Arjuna again showed his four-armed form, and then he showed his two-armed form. So in other words, he calmed Arjuna down. No need to be afraid, because you're my friend. Everything is okay. And then this is the story before the main verse, which I want to come to. It's number 51. Arjuna says to Krishna then, Drishtvetam manusham rupam tavasaum yam chanardanam idanim asmi samvrita. Moment. Idanim asmi samvritaha sachetaha prakritim gataha. And this is very amazing, because here Arjuna says to Krishna, now my dear Lord, O Janardana, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind, and I am restored to my original nature. So Arjuna here says, Krishna, seeing you now, I have found myself. Which means, if you become Krishna conscious, you automatically become conscious of yourself. Well, of course, we understand the reason why Arjuna says this verse is because of the whole story we just now explained. This is the reason. But just suppose you open the Bhagavad Gita for the first time and you read only this verse for the first time. It would actually give this message to you. Seeing you, Krishna, made me come to self-realization. In other words, if I become aware of Krishna, I become Krishna conscious, automatically I'm self-realized. And this is also true and correct. This shows us the absolute nature of any verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Even if you take any single verse of the Bhagavad Gita and you don't know the story around it, you don't know what the chapter is about it, but if you take this one verse, the message which is delivered to you is on an absolute platform, it's correct. This is the wonderful nature of Bhagavad Gita and Krishna's words. And in this way, Krishna continues and goes on in the whole Bhagavad Gita. And finally, in the very, very last verse, 1878. There it says, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Parto Danurtaraha, Tatra Shrir Vichayo Putir Turva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, morality. This is my opinion. So wherever there is Krishna, automatically there is richness, there is morality, there is power. Everything is there when Krishna is there. So then, of course, in this regard, it's interesting, our question which we answered just before. When everything is there, where Krishna is, that includes also material richness and material opulence. So why are those who are worshippers of Krishna mostly not so rich? So we answered this before. This pastime of Bhrigu Muni gives an answer to this. But simultaneously we understand that devotees, they are the richest personalities, the most rich personalities that exist, because they carry the supreme personality of Godhead in their hearts. They see everywhere Krishna, and they are full of life. Devotees, they are full of life. Like yesterday, we had a weekly Sankirtan community festival in Passau, and it was not really warm. It was not Arctic cold, but it was so cold that at certain points you really thought it's kind of nearly painful. You agree, huh? You were there also. So it was really kind of uncomfortable. But somehow or other we continued, and then I made a nice realization. I walked into a shopping center because I had to do some shopping, and while I was on the way shopping to the shopping center, all these remembrances from my years on book distribution and Sankirtan, they came up. You walk into a shopping area, you walk into the shopping street, all these people around you, you try everyone to give a Bhagavad Gita, you approach them, you do your best in order to perform the Sankirtan Yagya, to distribute books. And when I was walking there, all these remembrances, they came up again, and it nearly filled my eyes with tears, because it's so beautiful. This kshetra, the shopping street, these materialistic areas, they are actually the holy places for a Sankirtan devotee, because it's the place where you play with Krishna. Actually, it's the place it's the place where Krishna wants you to be. Krishna is so happy and pleased with the devotee trying to preach and give to the fallen conditioned souls, especially these books. So, and I remembered, and then remembering this, and thinking of Krishna, and nearly tears coming into my eyes. I went back to the tent where the Harina was going on, and I was so enthusiastic. I said, now let's speak to the people, let's distribute books. And the first person I met, he looked at me and he said, hey, did you take drugs or something? That was his first reaction. And I said, no, why? Do I look like? He said, yes. He thought I'm on a trip or something, That was his first reaction. And that reminded me of another situation when we were in Sankirtan. We visited festivals, and we were there 3 devotees, and the other 2 devotees, they were distributing books on a parking, on a traffic jam. So many cars, they were going to the festival, and there was a huge line of cars, and we were there parking with the van, and they just went out distributing books, and the books went out like anything. In the traffic jam, everyone took a book. They were waiting there so that we can continue driving, and someone comes, a monk, and gives you a book, the most important book from India. Oh, cool, yes, of course we take it. They have money, and they distributed like anything. And they came back into the van, they came back into the van, and they looked at each other into the eyes, and both said, oh my God, you have completely huge eyes. Did you take some drugs or something? I said, no, I didn't drug. It was completely cool. Everyone take books. You also have so big eyes. Did you take some drugs? Oh man, it's really scary, So they looked at so huge pupils. Pupil means Schüler. Huh? Pupils? Yeah. Pupils, okay. They had so huge pupils, They looked like as if they took some, psychedelica or something, you know. They were ecstatic. And once I remember also when we were driving very early in the morning, the police stopped us because I forgot to turn on the lights on the car. And then the police came behind us and said, "Excuse me, you're driving without lights." I said, "Oh my God, sorry, I just forgot it." And then they looked into my eyes and then they asked me, Did you just recently take any intoxicants or something? I said, "No." And they looked into my eyes and said, "Come out from the car." You know, I came out and looked into my eyes and said, did you take anything? No, I didn't take anything. I'm sure the last 15 years I took less intoxicants, including nicotine and alcohol, than you the past week. I'm a monk, you know. I gave a promise at the holy sacrifice, the fire, I don't take intoxications. So what do you mean, did you take anything? I didn't take anything. And they looked at me again. And then the one police woman, they looked at her boss, and she couldn't figure it out. And then the boss also looked into my eyes. You know, I don't see it properly. I don't know. You know, they thought I took something. You know. And also another time when we were driving, in the afternoon, police behind us. You know, blue light, and again, you know, all the time when you go on Sankirtan, all the time this police stuff. And they stopped us, and they talked to me. They looked me again into the eyes. You know. I said, "So, did you drink something? Did you alcohol?" I said, "No, I didn't drink any alcohol in the past 15 years. You know." Like this, and then we just drove behind you, you know. You were driving like a snake on the highway, you know. And I said, no, I was driving normally like always, you know. Like Sankirtan devotees always, you know, after a day of Sankirtan, you are ecstatic, you know. Haribol, next city, Hare Krishna. I said, no, it looked really dangerous. I said, no, I didn't take anything. Said, "Yeah, but I think then you have to make a course or something." I said, "No, I don't need it. Just, can we continue now driving?" They have no proof, you know. We didn't take anything, nothing. So we were just ecstatic. So devotees, they are ecstatic. And when they are ecstatic, they appear to be like on a trip. They appear to be on drugs or something, but they do not. They are really high. And the motto of devotees is stay high forever. They are really high on a spiritual platform and they're completely sober. That's the significance of a devotee. And how do we come there? How do we get on this stage? Actually, this means when you appear like this, when you meet a person for the first time, he looks in the face and he says, "Did you take some drugs?" That means actually you have life. You are not such a boring person walking there on the street, earning money and all these things. No, you are not like a common man. You are shining, you know. So it's not an insult. It's like a proof that devotees are on another platform. And in order to get on this platform, one has to have life. And what does it mean to have life? What does it mean to preach? Bhaktisiddhanta understands what he said. If you have life, then you can preach. So devotees, they are meant to have life. And preaching does not mean it's so cold and everyone says no and no one is interested. It doesn't matter. Just let's sit at the table and wait until someone comes. Or just let's sit on the stage and play some nice riffs or rhythms or melodies on the harmonium, because this is also preaching. We are preaching Krishna consciousness. Let's not talk to the people. They anyway say no. Anyway, we don't really like them. They are karmis. We chant here Hare Krishna, and then we are on the spiritual platform. This is Sankirtan. This is preaching. And this is not Sankirtan. This is preaching. This is actually Maya. This is illusion. This is sense gratification. Once one of the greatest book distributors in this movement, he participated in such a festival, and he observed how the devotees are distributing near the tent. And everyone was like, "Oh, and how do you think it? It's nice, Sankirtan, huh? Books are going out, people are coming." He said, "This is sense gratification." It's sense gratification. Why is it sense gratification? Because you are not aggressively, actively approaching people. Krishna must be there. You must take Krishna. You talk to people. You go to them. You don't wait at the table until they come and then somehow are bored and completely spaced out. You forget to give them a cookie and they just walk and continue going to hell because you were just so spaced out to approach them and to talk to them. And therefore you need life. And Sankirtan means you come out of this comfort zone. Sankirtan does not mean, preaching does not mean we're doing it together and everyone is safe. It's safe and it's nice and it's beautiful. No, because Krishna is not cheap. It will not be easy, it will be not comfortable, it will not be nice, it will be difficult. And it will be difficult because Krishna wants to see, do you really want to have him? Because pure devotional service means Krishna gives himself. You own Krishna. Krishna becomes your property. You tell Krishna, do this, and he will do it. You're dancing so nicely, Krishna, wonderful. They're clapping in their hands, and Krishna dances. Krishna gives himself. Is this something cheap? Is this something which is comfortably done? No, you have to prove it. And how do you prove it? You prove it by doing something really difficult. You go to people, and all other people say, we don't read, we don't want it, we don't believe in God, we are not interested in Krishna, and even their faces, they show it to you. If you look at the people's faces on the street, they show you, we are not interested. We don't want it. But preaching means, that's all right, we have understood. You don't like reading, you don't want Krishna, that's all right, we accept it, but still, Krishna must be there. You have to take Krishna. This is what it means if you have life. And if you have this, then it's not a boring, comfortable thing, but it's a thing where people see you and look into your face and they think, my God, what did he take? What kind of drugs did you take, I didn't take any drugs. I'm on another platform. I'm connected with Krishna. My eyes are filled with tears, and you are suffering. You forgot Krishna, therefore you must take also Krishna. And this is my approach to you. And this is what it means when Prabhupada said, I came into your country aggressively. Aggressively means I understand you are all completely uninterested in Krishna, but still I am insisting you must take Krishna. Krishna must be there. And if we figure this out, and if we do that, then we will learn. So we have to do this step. We should not live in our comfortable zone. Being in a temple, deity is so beautiful, everything is nice, every day regulative program, Mangal Arati, everything is like safe. You can say it's safe, and you might say you become Krishna conscious, but I say it's Maya. It's Maya. It's like being comfortable with Krishna and not going into a risk for Krishna. And this does not sound like at all that there is life. Life means you take a risk. Life means you do something which is uncomfortable. Life means you do something which seems to be impossible. And it seems to be impossible that these people they are walking out straight in this cold weather and that they will accept a book from me. It seems impossible. But still we try it. We do it. And we do it maybe aggressively. We do it maybe insultingly. We try it, and Krishna will teach us. This is not the way I like it. Do it differently. But we have to come out of this comfort zone. And we have to be ready to be corrected by Krishna. And the most simple thing how to do it is book distribution. The mission is give him a book, make him take the book, and make him give a donation. This is how it is all condensed down. Learn this art. Learn the art of distributing books. Give him a book, make him take the book, and get a donation. This is everything. Then everything is included. How to do it? We have to try. Everyone has to figure it out. Say a lot of words, say nothing, just show your hand. We have to try. We have to see what comes back, and we have to be ready to be corrected and to be guided by Krishna. But the message is, if you learn this is the real thing. So, and in this regard, we have to show some endeavor, not to sit back in the safety comfort zone and be spaced out. I experienced and I saw so much hesitation yesterday. So many devotees and people, they were hesitating, they were mental, they were kind of afraid, they were not enthusiastic, they were kind of bored, they were kind of in their own zone, And if some person comes into my zone, maybe I am fast enough to show him a book or a cookie. And if it's not working, then anyway, Hare Krishna. But this is not the mood which Prabhupada is giving us, So in order to come out of this ignorance and out of this Maya, this is what Sankirtan means. You have to learn it. We have to learn it somehow or other. to be active, to talk, to do something impossible, to preach. Preach means people say, wow, I don't know what you have, but I accept it, I will take it. And this is actually Sankirtan. This is the way back to home, back to Krishna, even in one lifetime. That means not Brahman, that means not even Vaikuntha, that means Goloka Vrindavan, the highest. And it's not just sitting somewhere and chanting Hare Krishna and then someday you will go back to Goloka Vrindavan. That's not what it means. There's actually a lot more, I would say this is a lot more Maya. It's boring, it's like a gray-brown soup, and it's not really astonishing. But this life is needed, we have to have life, we have to, if we think of our service, if we think of Krishna, we must get tears in our eyes. We must think, this is the most amazing thing, this is really heart-touching. And it's worth to risk everything for it, and to try and to do actively something. So, and this is actually my approach, which I wanted to make. Let's do actively something, Let's approach people directly, even if they look like as if they're completely uninterested. It doesn't matter. Let me try it. To try is the perfection. And if you try it and there is a result, it will be amazing. It will be overwhelming. How is it possible that a fallen condition, materially fallen conditioned soul in this material world, rotting around in this material world, suddenly he just accepts Krishna from your hand, He takes him and he gives a donation and he's astonished in himself. And he asks you, what is going on here? What did you take? What is this? These aren't the correct questions because they forgot Krishna. It's amazing what you have, but I don't know what it is. It's Krishna, actually. So, and for that we have to have life. It's not a mechanical thing. It's not a safe thing, a safeguard, It's not in a temple. It's not in a group. It's not this. You have to come out of this zone. Therefore, in order to approach people personally, try. And even if it's not successful, your try is the success. Krishna is so much there when a person tries to preach about his glories. Will he take the book? Will not take the book? That's also Krishna's management and Krishna's decision. So we let that up to Krishna. Yesterday also, so many people just said, no, I don't want. But still, you continue, you try, you approach people, you want to make it happen. And it doesn't matter whether it works or it does not work. The success is that Krishna is pleased with us. So in order to be Krishna make him pleased with us, we have to show some active, we have to show we have to come out of our safety zone and of our comfortable spiritual Hare Krishna zone. So this is what I wanted to say, and I'm sorry it's now really late, and but now I want to give the word to you. Please, if you want, share some thoughts or some corrections or ideas or whatever you have in your mind. Heidi was also yesterday there. Now we are curious about what she will say.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, to be honest, by your pushy way, I was a little bit agitated.
By my what?
By your pushy way to say your
Okay.
point. I get your point, although I know that I'm definitely not on the platform as you are. But I just wanted to ask for clarification because it sounds that you don't really appreciate the way that we were preaching yesterday. And in my opinion, this Harinam, this singing is really powerful also. And for sure we should not hide in this and being comfortable, but there's so many people out there that are attracted by the music. They were standing there and maybe because of the music they get more interested. What we have more, do we have the books, and then they are inspired to also have a look for the books. And for example, myself, I was not going directly out and approaching the people because I have the seva of the book table, so I was mainly standing behind the book table, and when people came who are interested, then I was trying to talk to them. Maybe I was not pushy enough, I don't know, maybe not aggressively enough, but for me I think there are some people who also don't want to be approached aggressively, who need some time, who want to stand, who want to look, and not getting from a salesman, here, can I help you, I want to show you, some people need a little bit more time, and maybe it's not always good to be so pushy. I mean, this is what I thought.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very valuable feedback. And first of all, I want to say, no, I appreciated a lot what we did yesterday. I don't look down on it. No, I have to correct this. I have to make this was wonderful that we did it yesterday, even under these circumstances. And it was super great. And it definitely should be continued. Even it should be continued in this way, which we did. So I'm not looking down on it. I'm not condemning it, not at all. But I see room for improvement. I see room for going more into the center, what it is really meant. And that was my main point. And therefore my main point was to be a little bit more, as you said. You said it pushy. Yes, pushy is the right word. And just actively, actively. And as you said, not everyone appreciates this. Some people, they are more like, they don't want to be treated like this. And also we have to show this, of course. We have to act appropriately to each person. Some people then need a little bit more power, more direct words. Some people then need a little bit more space and a little bit more time. And of course we don't kind of attack them or... That's of course not what we are doing, but just speaking of the general mass of people, we should go to the people. We should not just wait until they come to us. We should go to them. In this way, we should kind of attack this Maya, So this was my idea, and of course the Haranam is super. Everyone hears it, and the Haranam was also nice, and it was kind of smooth, and it was melodious, definitely. So I agree to all these points. It's very good. But what I want to say is, this is just not all. It's not that we think, yes, it was nice, we were singing, that's what it is. That's what Hare Krishna is. And what I wanted to share today is, I think, no, there's a lot more. There's a lot more which we have not yet discovered, and a lot more which every one of us can discover in Krishna consciousness. And actually which Krishna is waiting for. Discover it. Manusyanam Sahasrashu, and the thousands and thousands of people, rarely one knows me in truth. So we are meant to discover the amazing thing in Krishna consciousness, where people, they are also saying, what's going on with them? What do they have? On what kind of trip are they? It's kind of the people that were talking to me like this. They were not negative. They were just astonished. They couldn't understand what's going on. So that's Krishna. Krishna is so amazing. It's not everything is just fine and we're doing the right thing. It should be so ecstatic that you don't understand yourself where you're in it. You want to just more and more of this. You want to continue with this. And this is what a Sankirtan devotee is experiencing when he's not distributing on the street. In the end of the evening, he thinks, I just want to continue. It's now starting, And even now I have to go home, but tomorrow I have to exactly start at this point. This is every day happening in a Sankirtan devotee. But the next day, you see, you don't start at the same point. You have to start again. You have to start every day again and again. And in the evening, you always think, oh my God, this is amazing. You should be always on this platform, And so a little bit, I thought that was missing. A little bit, I thought there could be room for improvement, where we have tears in our eyes, where we think, this is the thing. And for that, it's necessary to be, I would say, a little bit more, not in this comfort zone, but... And therefore also this kind of tough statement by experienced devotees, isn't it? They call it Maya. We might call it Krishna consciousness. We might call it preaching program. We might call it, Sankirtan Yagya. An experienced devotee says, like, this is Maya. But when this is Maya, what we think is nice, what does he experience? And what does he have? What does he then mean with what is not Maya? Actually, I should be eager. I want to have it, And that is actually, then that's life, isn't it? There is life. And I would just wanted to kind of maybe get a little bit more this kind of, uncomfortable message, or maybe a little bit harsh message. But I wanted to just give kind of this feedback. And I wanted to inspire, Next time we do, let's prepare a little bit. Let's make another endeavor, on the street. What we could do better. So many times I saw, spacing out. It's not happening. This person did not get prasadam because the devotee is kind of somewhere else, spacing around in the air. that's we can improve. We should definitely improve. It's like, the gopis, they're completely arranged. They are like super managed, And Radha Krishna needs anything, they immediately, everything is perfectly arranged, like in a military. It's a military, it's like an army, So this is what we should also be, If we see a person and we exactly know what does this person need, we immediately have it. Should not be spaced out. So that's like painful in the heart to observe this. And we also observe people are coming and looking at the table and no one speaks to them. Like no one, because somewhere this cannot happen, This is painful actually. And this is what I mean, So for this we have to be more like not bored, not in the comfort zone, not waiting until something happens. You have to be alert, This is what a servant is. Servant, you know exactly what the master needs. And then you get blessings, If you play mridanga for another devotee and you know exactly what this devotee wants, then you get the blessings, This is a good mridanga player, one to him, This is what experienced advanced devotees say of their mridanga players. So then you get blessings. But on the other hand, if you are in a company of devotees and in a group where everyone just like, auf gut Deutsch gesagt, geht dir auf die Nerven. Let's do a kirtan, okay, let's sing. Okay, you play mridanga. Then you play, and the mridanga is so spaced out, And then after a few minutes and after a few beats, you really think, just let it be. Let the kirtan be. It's better no kirtan than such a kirtan. Then it's so kind of, this is not what service means. If you are a servant, you do that what the master wants, and you know what the master wants. The master doesn't have to tell you. You know it and you do it. And this is service actually. And therefore, this is completely the opposite of being spaced out. And this is what I wanted to say. There is a lot of improvement in ourselves. On my side, of course, also. So let's improve on that. And then we will be happy. Then we will be ecstatic. Then the people will look into our faces and will say, my God, what's going on with you? What did you take? No, we didn't take anything. We are Krishna conscious. We are servants. We are serving and we are so ecstatic. So there's a lot of room for improvement, I see, in many departments. Starting with kirtan and whatever, Let's please the other person. Let's not space out. You cannot start a kirtan and start playing karatals, and after 2 minutes you just lay the karatals away and you do something else. I'm sorry, excuse me, can you just continue play karatals? Playing the whole kirtan? It's so discouraging for a leader to do something with others together if the others are not supporting you. And I come many times on the border where I really become nearly angry. That's a thing where I have to work on myself, because this poisons everything, anger and these things, But the reason for this is because spaced out, not being in a fired up, enthusiastic service mood. Let me serve this person, I think it's not difficult. We have to become aware of it more. I'm not attacking you. I don't say you are doing this. I'm just generally saying a little bit. And I'm trying my best. I also have to learn and to improve on this. So I'm also speaking to myself, and I'm asking you for forgiveness if I kind of was offensive. I'm aware this is quite possible, and please forgive me if I was offensive, and please give me blessings that I can be corrected and do better in the future. With you together, next Sankirtan Community Sankirtan Festival, Ki Jai. Okay, Grandaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.